take us back to 1982, because you've talked about that since as being a really transformative, a pivotal moment in your life. Tell us what happened and what happened afterwards.
Like, watch me. Was I arrogant? Like, I look at myself now, I couldn't have been more arrogant, and I couldn't have been more wrong, and painfully wrong. And so that's why it was a transitional moment for me, because I got so broke that my dad had to lend me $4,000 to pay for my family bills. So that was my bottom, my big bottom. And that painful experience made me think, how do I get all the upside without the downside of risk? Okay, so it's the big question that all investors have to deal with. The amount, being knocked out, and the bet that you can lose, that can take you out, is your risk. But how do you get the great upside? And so then I had to engineer it. And I learned about diversification. I learned that if I can have 15 uncorrelated bets, I can eliminate 80% of my risk without reducing my return.
Everybody looking at this says, look at what Bridgewater ended up and the extraordinary success you just went through. So go back to 1982. You said you should have been more diversified, and you should have had some other points of view. What is it you got wrong in 1982 exactly? What was your mistake? And could there have been somebody come along to say, at that moment, wait a second, Ray, you should think about that. You haven't thought about that over there.
Yes. So I had calculated that American banks had lent more money to foreign countries than they were going to be able to pay back. And there was going to be a debt default.
Which was true.
Which was true. Mexico defaulted, and all these countries afterwards defaulted. And I said that that debt crisis was going to cause a crisis all the way around the world, because it goes to banks and so on. And I didn't realize the mechanics of how the changing of a debt squeeze, having a debt squeeze in those countries so money would not go to those countries, used to go to those countries in lending. And while they were having a squeeze, we could have a disinflationary boom. And it produced the 80s. My point is that these experiences in life, if you go back and you study history and you see how history repeats, many things never happened in your lifetime before.
You built up Bridgewater at the same time having studied history. Now, I'm surmising you knew you got to think about succession at some point. You can't stay forever. Now, tell us how that's worked, and has it succeeded? Are you satisfied with that succession at Bridgewater?
Oh, it's been so great. So I did that, and I had that track record with them, bringing them in as you described. And Bob Prince, Greg Jensen, Near, other people, all of those people are all part of that mission. And there was also part of a culture of, can we be radical, truthful, and radically transparent? Could we trust each other? Could we go through all of that? And so that was all the arc. And then, of course, you want to pass it along. And so then with a lot of planning and with the comfort that these great people I've worked with and I know, and those great people working together can continue to pick up where I left off, or we left off together, and then go bring it to a higher level beyond me. And so that's the success. And so in about 18 months, I turned it over to them. They have it's theirs. And now I'm a mentor. And as a mentor, we have the enjoyment, the great pleasure of being able to brainstorm that way, but it's theirs, and they own it. And so when I'm confident that they have the qualities and the terrific elements to be able to bring them up to have theirs that will be hopefully better than ours. Because, wow, I think we had an amazing success, and the success, it's like raising your kids, you know, the joy that the ones who are older feel about the next generation and seeing them succeed. That'll be my mark of my success. If they succeed, it's my success. If they don't succeed, it's my failure. But I couldn't have a better group of people and a greater simpatico in terms of that element of, you know, where we're going on the same basic approaches and the same basic culture.